The world mistook your loyalty for weakness. It watched you stay at the job, in the marriage, with the friend who needed you for the fifth year in a row, in the community that didn't always give back what you put in, and it decided something must be wrong with you. And in the next few minutes, I am going to show you exactly how wrong it was. Think about the last time someone called you stubborn or slow to move on, or told you gently that you needed to know when to quit. Think about the last time your commitment to something was treated as a limitation rather than a choice. It has happened more than once, because the world built in the last 30 years was designed around a different value, not loyalty. Exit. The ability to leave, quickly, without sentiment, without looking back, to treat every commitment as provisional, every relationship as a subscription you can cancel, every job as a platform you use until a better one appears. And anyone who did not operate that way was quietly filed under can't adapt. I want to offer you a different word for it: rooted. What I am about to show you will change how you understand everything you have ever stayed for. Let me start with what loyalty actually is, because it is not what the modern world thinks it is. The modern world treats loyalty like an emotion, like something that happens to you, like affection that got stuck. That is not what it is. Loyalty is a decision made repeatedly, under pressure, often when leaving would have been easier. It is not the absence of doubt. It is the decision to stay despite doubt. It is not the absence of difficulty. It is the decision to stay through difficulty. That is not weakness. That is one of the most demanding cognitive and emotional disciplines a human being can practice. And your generation practiced it not because you were naive, not because you lacked options, because you understood something the exit culture forgot: that depth requires duration, that the things worth having cannot be accessed quickly. They have to be built, slowly, through seasons of difficulty and seasons of return. You cannot have a 40-year marriage in 5 years. You cannot have a deep friendship in 18 months. You cannot build a community in a single cycle. These things take time, and they take the specific kind of person who is willing to give it. That person is you. Here is the first thing the world got wrong about your loyalty. It confused the cost with the weakness. Loyalty is expensive. That is not an accident. The cost is what makes it valuable. When you stayed at a job through the years that were not rewarding, you were not being passive. You were paying a price, in time, in deferred options, in the quiet sacrifice of roads not taken. When you stayed in a marriage through the years that were genuinely hard, you were not failing to see your own worth. You were making a bet on what could be built if you stayed long enough to build it. When you showed up for the same friend year after year, even when the reciprocity was uneven, you were not being used. You were being the kind of person who does not abandon people when they are difficult to love. The cost is the point, because anything you can exit without cost, you can also enter without cost. And things entered without cost are worth exactly that. Your loyalty cost you something. That is precisely why what it built was real. Here is the second thing the world got wrong. It called commitment inflexibility, but they are not the same thing. Flexible means you bend. Committed means you do not break. The modern workplace has spent 30 years celebrating flexibility, the ability to pivot, to rebrand, to walk away from what is not working and move toward what is. There is a place for that, but something was lost in the worship of it. The specific kind of work that only happens when someone decides they are not leaving. When a person is not going anywhere, they invest differently. They learn the room. They understand the history. They know why the third approach failed and the fourth was slightly better. They know the people well enough to tell when something is actually wrong versus when it is just a bad month. That knowledge cannot be bought. It cannot be imported. It accumulates only in people who stayed long enough to accumulate it. It is the knowledge of someone who has been through all 4 seasons of a thing and come out the other side still standing. And that knowledge,
The specific, earned, untransferable knowledge of a person who did not leave is one of the most valuable things a human being or an organization can possess. The modern world outsources when it could have retained, replaces when it could have invested, pivots when it could have stayed, and it pays the price every time in the form of the thing it cannot quite put its finger on, the absence of people who actually know.
And you stayed. Here is the third thing the world got wrong. It looked at what your loyalty built and attributed it to something else. The stable home your children grew up in, the friendships that have lasted 40 years, the communities that still function because someone showed up for them for decades. The world does not look at those things and say, loyalty built this. It looks at them and says, you got lucky, or the circumstances were right. Loyalty produced them. The specific, costly, repeated decision to stay and keep investing, even when the returns were not immediate, that is what built every durable thing you have ever been part of. And the research confirms this in ways the modern world finds inconvenient. Longitudinal studies on relationship stability, marriages that last, friendships that endure, communities that remain cohesive show one consistent factor above all others. Not compatibility, not shared values, not even communication skills, though those matter. Commitment. The prior decision made before the difficulty arrived to not make exit the default option. That prior decision changes everything. It changes how you process conflict. It changes how you invest in repair. It changes what you are willing to do to understand the other person rather than replace them. Your generation made that prior decision, and what it built is still standing. Here is the fourth thing the world got wrong. It saw your loyalty as naive, but you were not naive. You were operating from a different model of value. The exit culture is built on a specific assumption that the value of anything is determined by its market price at a given moment. If something is not producing returns right now, the rational move is to exit and redeploy. That model works for financial assets. It does not work for people, or friendships, or communities, or callings. Because the value of these things is not visible at any given moment. It is only visible across time. You cannot see the value of a 30-year marriage in year 4 when things are genuinely difficult. You can only see it in year 30 when you are sitting across from a person who knows every version of you that has ever existed. You cannot see the value of a long friendship during the years when it is mostly you giving. You can only see it when you are the one who needs, and the person across from you has been there long enough to actually know what you need. The value of loyalty is always in the future tense. The exit culture cannot price it, so it decided it had no price. Think about what that actually means. A whole generation of institutions, workplaces, and cultural advisors told people that the things which only reveal their value over decades were therefore worth nothing in the present moment. They were measuring the wrong thing, with the wrong instrument, at the wrong time. You knew differently, not from theory, from having lived long enough to see the return. You have sat across from a person in year 30 who knows every version of you that has ever existed. You have called a friend at 2 in the morning and had them pick up, not because they had nothing else to do, but because you had been there enough times for them that picking up was not a choice, it was a reflex. You have walked into a room where you have history and felt the specific weight of being known. Those things are not small. They are the point. And the return was real. Here is the fifth thing the world got wrong. It confused the damage done to your loyalty with proof that you were wrong to give it. You were loyal to things that did not deserve it. I am not pretending otherwise. Some jobs took your loyalty and gave you a redundancy letter by email after 30 years. Some relationships consumed your commitment and gave very little back. Some institutions asked for your investment and then changed beyond recognition. And when those things happened, the world said, "See, this is why you should not have stayed. This is why loyalty is naive." But that is the wrong lesson. The fact that your loyalty was sometimes misplaced does not mean loyalty itself was the error. It means the recipient was unworthy. A craftsman who makes something beautiful for someone who does not value it has not made an error of craft. They have made an error of recipient. The craft itself remains what it was. Your loyalty was not the mistake. What was done with it sometimes was. In the places and people and relationships where it was met with equal commitment, those became the most valuable things in your life, not despite the loyalty, because of it. So, what do you do with this? Not a philosophy exercise. 3 things, practical, starting now. The first, name what you have built. Not as inventory, as recognition. The stable things in your life, the relationships that have endured, the knowledge you carry, the communities you are part of, these did not arrive. They were built by your repeated decision to stay and invest. Name them, not for anyone else, for yourself. Because the world will not name them for you. It is too busy celebrating the people who pivoted last quarter. The second, stop apologizing for how long you take. Your pace of commitment is not a deficit. It is the mechanism by which real things get built. You are not slow to trust because you were damaged. You are appropriately calibrated to the actual cost of trust. You are not slow to leave because you cannot see the problem. You are slow to leave because you understand what leaving costs. That calibration is not a flaw. It is earned precision. The third, give your loyalty to things that deserve it. Not less loyalty, better directed loyalty. The lesson of every misplaced commitment is not stop committing. It is be more careful about who and what receives the best of what you have. You have a finite amount of the deepest investment. Direct it toward the people and things that will honor it, because the things that honor it are the ones that will grow into something neither of you could have built alone. Here is what I want you to understand. The world built for exits has arrived somewhere your loyalty always knew it would. That the things worth having cannot be extracted quickly, that depth requires duration, and that the most important things are built over time by people who decided, before the difficulty arrived, that they were not leaving. That is not a nostalgic idea. That is one of the most well-supported findings in the science of human well-being. And you have been living it for decades. Not because someone told you to, because you understood at some level that did not require words that the alternative was shallowness, and you chose against it. Here is what the exit culture will never be able to buy back. The person who has been through all 4 seasons of something with you. The colleague who knows why the project nearly failed and what saved it. The partner who has seen you at your worst and chose you anyway. The friend who does not need the context because they were there. These are not replaceable. They are not transferable. They are not available on any market at any price. They are only available to people who stayed. The world called it weakness. I call it the most demanding form of strength there is. Before you go, I have one question. Leave your answer in the comments. I read every single one. What is one thing your loyalty built that you are grateful for, even if it cost you? I am Arthur, and I will see you in the next one.